really open.
Yeah.
Did
you always not smoke or drink?
I never have smoked or drink.
Okay.
I never. It's just, I mean, but I grew up in an environment where everybody smoked.
Oh yeah.
And so,
yeah, what environment doesn't?
So exactly. So it made me not want to do it because
I see.
Every weekend was some crazy. I mean, so we had a family. I mean, we would get together as a family every weekend. Every weekend, like uncles, aunts, cousins, and all the rest of it. The night would start off great, and by the time it was over,
it always turns into a shit show.
A shit show.
Yeah, that's what we're saying. We don't drink really anymore either. For like a year now, we haven't drank. But like we were like, if we think back to all like any bad situations that have happened, like every bad thing we can think of alcohol has been there has been there.
Yeah. So for me, I
like every bad
it just wasn't what I wanted to put in my path to derail me from getting to where I wanted to go.
Yeah.
I wasn't gonna have this mistake.
That's what we stopped. We just had to get focused. It wasn't like a we're not. It wasn't like a plan. It was just like we're busy, we're focused, and it's like, well, we haven't been drinking. Let's just keep this up. We're healthier, we're better.
Yeah, I think that's what it's for. I'm not gonna say I'm a control freak. I just don't want to put my life in somebody else's.
That's so funny. That's what he says. That's what he says 100%. I never looked at it that way, but that's what he says. Like it's not me when you're drinking, so it's not my control.
Yeah, exactly.
You got it?
Yeah, so we're up in the app right now. It's on YouTube. I don't know if anybody's tuned in yet, but I sent out the link, so we'll see. Guys, if you guys are watching this right now, you're watching the replay. What up? We are about to do a podcast. I decided, hey, I'm gonna give you guys a behind the scenes look at the podcast, what it's like behind the scenes. You guys will hear the actual episode up on iTunes, Spotify, SoundCloud, and everywhere else very, very soon. But if you guys are watching this right now, again, just wanted to film behind the scenes so you guys can tune in and get some value. Right now, we're gonna be talking with Mac, major real estate legend, 25 years of experience, wholesale real estate flipping. I've been actually getting a lot of questions lately on my social media about real estate. So this will be an interesting podcast. It'll be a fun podcast. And we'll get to hear from experience from somebody who's been in the space for a very long time, who's been in the industry for a very long time, and has a lot of experience. And so it'll be super cool. So guys, if you're watching this right now, go ahead, drop a comment. Or if you're watching the replay, drop a comment, say what's up. Let us know where you're tuning in from, what you're excited to hear about. And if you have any questions, we may get to them throughout the podcast. We're going to do, and let me show this cool dude, by the way. I was thinking a 30-minute kind of like intro, like kind of hearing a bit about your story. And then we'll do like kind of like a mastermind one where we're all just kind of like come in and just kind of chat and stuff like that. Is that time? Cool. So that's what we're doing, guys. So tune in. If you guys got questions, go ahead and ask questions in the comments, ask questions in the live chat. And we'll either get to it on this first one or we'll get to it on the second one. We'll do a mastermind with Tim Reed, JP, and Lewis as well. So with that said, guys, let's get it. Cool. And here we go. Chat right here. There we go. See if anybody pops in. Make sure it works on this back.
Okay.
Yeah, it works.
Play back Mac. Oh, I like that.
What do you got on? You just like live stream it. I can photos from if you want. That's
Yeah, so it's steady. You're not like.
Yeah. Huh?
I said, let's keep that thing steady.
Oh.
Cool. Live behind the scenes. I see it. Oh.
Can you see us both?
No, I can't. No, I can't, Mike. You have to move closer to the center.
You can also move the camera a little bit.
Yeah, I should move the camera because honestly, this whole thing's in it, but that whole thing's not in it. How do I wake up your
Not that camera, that one. On the computer ones.
Oh.
Streaming.
Okay.
You just actual camera.
Should I use this one?
Oh no, I'm gonna use my phone. I was saying for yours. Cool. Yeah. I got mine on the computer.
This is good. You guys are in.
Cool.
Perfect.
So I sent out like a little text to my community. Cool. I'm like, reply back Mac. So they respond back Mac like this. And then the link gets sent. So I'll show you a second real quick.
How's that? Is the podcast camera set, angled, lighting good?
This one? Yeah.
Go.
Oh, remember you gotta put the stop
No, she said, tell me to stop and, right, what did you say?
So his camera only records 30 minutes, so we'll have to just like.
I said we just do a 30-minute, or at least try to get a 30-minute episode for like the
100%.
first one, and then the second one we do like 45 minutes.
But either way, I'm not gonna cut. Oh, if it does, we just restart. I'm not gonna cut you off. Stop talking 30 minutes. He's like in the middle of his climax of the story.
I have, my stopwatch.
Yeah, so first thing I'm gonna start recording.
You guys have water? You guys are good? You want water? You need more? Okay. Josh, are you getting water? Okay, cool. Nothing worse than on an interview and you're like, I'm
Yeah, I'm
thirsty.
like mouth all dry. Can't barely breathe.
You guys want coffee?
Glasses. I'm down.
Yeah, JP's making some coffee.
I don't even drink it.
You don't drink coffee?
Yeah, me neither, that's good, man. No alcohol, weed, no coffee.
Nope.
It took me, I learned the hard way. I did all that stuff. That's it, man.
I do it randomly. I don't have an addictive personality to anything. So it's like today you saw today it crashed. So I'm like, I had to drink coffee today. Yesterday, no coffee. Just depends on my mood for coffee.
I heard Tony Robbins talking about it. I was like, all right, that's it. I'm not drinking no more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I drank coffee for like 3 days in college. My roommate was dating this girl, and so her best friend came over. We had a class together. We like everybody stayed like together for like 3 or 4 days to like crash because I used to model when I was in college, and so they would teach me stuff. I'd go model for days, and then I'd come back, and then I had to crash.
Yo, bro, you were hustling all the way
Yeah.
back in college. Like,
So I had to crash, study for an exam. So we spent like 4 days
No way.
teaching me stuff. So I drank coffee for 4 days.
That's it.
Yo, that's what happened to me. Yeah, I
4
went crazy
days.
with it.
Coffee for 4 days.
Yeah.
How funny.
That's when you stop and go do it.
Oh, cool. Yo, what's up, Katrina? We got a stylish diva. What's up? What's up? What's up? We're about to do a podcast right now. Thank you guys for tuning in. We can see you guys' comments right here. We're gonna be chatting. We're gonna do 2 kind of podcasts, so you guys will be able to see behind the scenes. So stick around. If you guys have any questions, throughout the podcast, especially ones that kind of really, I guess, can go in line and align with what we're talking about, feel free to go ahead and ask the questions inside the comments. And if we peep them from time to time, we'll feel free to just kind of read off them and stuff like that. And we'll just make it real casual, real chill. So any questions that you guys have, feel free to drop them. Not no random ones though. Make sure they're in line with what we're talking about. Don't distract us and veer us off on a whole different topic. But if they're in line with what we're talking about and you just want to get a bit more details, a bit more depth, then go ahead and ask the questions.
Is that on? We started?
Yeah,
Cool.
we're starting now.
Yeah, I don't know, it's beeping like orange though. It's weird. It's working now. It's weird.
So my voice is a little bit more monotone.
Right.
So as long as you guys can hear me, good.
Yeah, we're good. Right here, we're good.
Yeah, the boundary.
Hey guys, real quick, let us know if you can hear us. Maybe just do like a little test right here.
Yeah.
I think you can, but I know it's not as good as this, but we'll make it work.
It is behind the scenes.
Yeah,
We're not expecting.
AKA, it's allowed to be shitty quality. Y'all gotta deal with it.
Yeah, behind the scenes. No, I'm okay. Thank you.
Anybody want one?
I'm not listening.
I'm good, thanks.
Thank you, Josh. You got your glasses on? You feeling good?
Yeah, these glasses. These are like light therapy glasses.
That's so funny.
I like the one really better though.
The orange ones?
Yeah,
Oh yeah, those are orange.
these yellow.
What's yellow for? Calming?
The yellow is
They say?
creativity and cheerfulness.
Mm.
Orange is yeah, for sure. The orange is sociability and I think confidence. And so whenever I broke my orange ones, I sat on them. So I was like, let me try yellow ones this time. Because whenever I wear like the yellow like computer blue block glasses, I noticed I was a lot more calm. And so I was like, oh, the orange one would probably have the same thing. And then I put these ones on. I don't realize there's too much of a difference, but the orange ones, if I were to go live and film a video on social media, I'm just flow sticks. I put them in. And it's like when I don't have them on, I'm like, oh, I'm a little bit cloudy right now. Yeah, it's kind of crazy actually.
They're on Amazon. They have like different colors, and it tells you kind of like what each color, how each light, what color will do something to your mood.
Okay.
They have like blue and purple, like calming, like, kind of like meditation type.
Yeah. I mean, if it works.
Sometimes I wonder, I'm like, does it actually work, or is it just like a belief?
Well, I mean, it could be a placebo.
Does it matter?
It doesn't matter.
At the end of the day, it works. Yeah.
It
It
works.
was a placebo. As long as I believe it, see the confirmation bias, then it works. It
Exactly.
becomes my destiny. All right, cool. You got the camera filming?
Yep. Cool.
JP, you ready?
I think he's making a coffee.
No worries. All right, cool.
Does it matter if the notebook's in the way?
No, that's cool.
All right.
That's cool. Show people how we keep it organized. You know what I'm saying?
I feel like people need to see that though. Okay, a lot of people won't start in our community. They don't want to start their podcast yet because they feel like it has to be perfect.
Yeah, I ain't
Just
I ain't
remember my
superhuman.
questions, blah blah. But we're all real. We all just are here for value.
Yeah.
So it's like let them see. They'll feel more comfortable. Let them see how it's okay to have your notepad. It's okay to look if you want it to be a good organized podcast.
Yeah, I know. Watching this
Okay.
right now, we ain't superhuman, man. We're just like you guys. As much as I wish I was superhuman, so I could have that competitive, unfair advantage, just not.
Yeah.
All right, cool. All right, yo, what is going on, Dropout Degree Nation? Today, guys, we're bringing you a podcast with a real estate legend, someone with over 25 years of experience, wholesale flipping, retail flipping. Actually, I'm restarting. Guys. You're watching this live behind the scenes.
Restart the real one.
This is actually my first time restarting it. I want to check it. This edification on point. Wholesale flipping. I said retail. Private lender, real estate developer. You guys seeing this right here, right now. You guys are watching behind the scenes. This is how we do it. This is how we make it happen. All right, cool. Let me make sure this sounds good, by the way, too, first, actually. That's what I started thinking about when we first started filming it. I was like, make sure the audio's not too loud. All right, yo, what is going on, Dropout Degree Nation? Today, guys, we're bringing you a pod. I pitched the. Let me turn it down a bit.
Yeah, we have a podcast guy that will do it for his phone.
Yo. What up? There you go. I think that's good. Guys, testing. 1, 2, 3. Okay, cool. Let's try that one.
We'll do it for his phone.
Yo.
That sounds like better.
Scene
All right.
1, 2, 3. Okay, cool. Are y'all ready? Oh, everybody caught it. Cool. So now we got no interruptions. Divine timing. There you go. Appreciate it, bro.
And you know how he likes it as well.
Yeah, man, you got me there, man.
Okay.
Coffee better than sure, you know?
I mean,
Crazy over it.
to know how people like it, I mean, that's some shit.
So need some extra sugar, bro. Mr. Sugar.
Sure.
Just kidding. Thank you, bro. I appreciate it. All right, cool. Let's get this popping. Yo, what is going on, Dropout Degree Nation? We are coming to you guys live. Some of you guys may be watching this behind the scenes. If you're not watching this behind the scenes, you're hearing this on podcast or on iTunes podcast and Spotify. Make sure to go leave a 5-star review if you guys like this. But real quick, I want to share with you guys who I have on the show today. We have a legend, a real estate legend, guys, over 25 years in real estate, wholesale flipping, private lending, and real estate development. And so we're going to talk a little bit today, guys, about the do's and don'ts of real estate. We've been going live on social media lately, and I've done a few live calls with some people who are into real estate, a lot of younger guys, but now we have somebody who's very well experienced, been in the game, again, over 25 years, not just 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, and just getting started, but somebody who's had a lot of time to be able to see the ups, the downs, and so going to be able to give you real feedback, real knowledge, real insight, real experience on the do's and don'ts. So if you guys are watching this live, I invite you guys to be able to drop some questions. If you guys are watching the replay of this and you're listening to it on iTunes, feel free to reach out to me on social media. Feel free to reach out to Mac Major. His Instagram is @MacMajor_REI, correct?
That is correct.
Cool. And so you went to Michigan State University. You have a bachelor's in mechanical engineering, MBAs in Master of Business at West Virginia University, correct?
That is correct.
Cool, guys. So we're going to be talking about real estate. This is my first time getting to know Mac. I got introduced by my buddy Lewis and JP. And so right now, guys, we are in the Studio City, Beverly Hills, Hollywood, LA area or
I don't
something.
even know.
I'm from OC, but we're somewhere in the hills, super nice view. And so if you guys are watching this, oh, I forgot we got the camera right here too. So we're gonna be on YouTube, we're gonna be everywhere, man. And so wherever you guys are listening to this, watching this, make sure to go subscribe on the other platforms. Make sure to follow Matt and check him out. We're gonna get into the nitty gritty. And we're gonna be doing 2 podcasts, by the way. So be on the lookout, guys, because we're doing a second mastermind podcast as well, where we're gonna be bringing in JP, bringing in Lewis, and bringing in Miss Timmerie. And we're gonna be just kind of chatting, social media, real estate, entrepreneurship, all these kind of different things as a whole. And so super excited to get this thing going for you guys. You're probably the most experienced real estate person, one that I brought on the show, 2 that I've been able to work with. My mentor does real estate, one of my first mentors, but he just got started a couple of years ago. And, he's doing maybe like 100K a month, 200K a month. And, I think like real estate flipping and stuff like that opened up his own thing. But you definitely have a lot more experience. So I'm really excited to see, what you've been able to learn over those years. So I'm sure there's probably tons of ups and downs and, different things that you can be able to teach people on here. And so here we go, guys. If you're watching this right now, we got a little Instagram live behind the scenes as well. So if you guys are watching this right now, go ahead, tune in, take some notes. I recommend taking some notes because we're about to drop some knowledge on you guys. So cool. Real quick, Matt. So for those of you, those are people who don't know you, and not as familiar with your story, I'm just getting to know you as well. Can you give them a little bit more background information and fill in the gaps of what I kind of just introduced you as, but fill in those gaps.
Yeah, so, it's a pleasure to be here, a pleasure to meet you. Of course, we have good company always. So, but I think for those that don't know me, I was born and raised in Detroit, Michigan. And so coming from humble beginnings, I've always known that I wanted to do more, see more, and get out of Detroit. And so as I was, growing up, my parents always instilled to me, college is first, getting your education. So regardless of what you do, whether or not you decide to get into real estate or be a doctor, lawyer, or to do whatever you want, whether it's e-commerce, whatever, it doesn't really matter. You have to be educated. And so that was the basis of everything that came from us. And so back then when I'm probably older than you, I'm 51 years old.
Right.
So, there wasn't a way to be able to get on social media and see all of the other things. You were educated by those that educated you, your parents.
Right.
So my parents were accountants and psychologists and all the rest of it. So they try to get you to funnel in their footsteps based on what they know.
Right.
So, but for me, education was always the key for me to be able to leave what I would say humble beginnings where we were, fairly poor.
Mm-hmm.
And so going to school was important to me. So luckily, sports was my avenue to really kind of get me out of what I would say underprivileged life. Because I went to sports, I went to Catholic schools. They were giving me education. They were giving me a way to get an education through sports at that point in time. They really weren't supposed to give scholarships out, but I was getting scholarships because not only academically I was sound, but I was very good in sports as well. So that kind of led me down the path to get me into better schools. Better schools gave me better opportunities. Right. Where I started to build a network of people. And so when I always talk about your network is your net worth. Right. And so once that happened, they were like, well, hey, have you thought about, going to Michigan State or Michigan? So these were big universities for me. And I really wanted to do better. And so I knew I had a sound mind. So engineering gave me the thought process to really start formalizing my thoughts and really put them in and really build. And so at that point in time, I did. For those that don't know me, you can always look me up or whatever else. But I started to go to school, but also I wanted to earn more money. Right. So as I wanted to earn more money, I started to kind of buy real estate. When I say I bought real estate through helping people. A lot of my friends and family, they were, unfortunately, some people were dying, and so people inherited properties at that point in time. And so when they inherited these properties, they had bills to pay that they were not used to paying bills. So people were losing their properties to taxes, and so what I was doing, because I was at that point in time, I was actually modeling while I was in college, so I had started earning money. Right. And so as I was earning money, I was actually helping people save their properties. Okay. And so as I was helping them save their properties, they came to me and said, Matt, I don't have the money to pay you back. You can kind of have these properties because even though I know it's my mom's house or my grandmother's house, I can't afford them.
Right.
And so once I got these properties back, I actually started to learn how to flip properties. And so off the first property, I actually I gave someone $3,400. They were in their property for 6 months. They came back to me, like, I can't afford it. At that point in time, they decided to move out. Me and my best friend, we put about $6 or $8 grand into it, and we wound up selling it for like $54,000.
Wow.
So, I mean, for us being 18, 19 years old, and we made $30,000 doing flipping properties, we were like, you know what? We should try to do this. Now, it didn't happen where we could always get somebody in that situation, but we started to go around and see abandoned houses. We started talking to people. We started then acquiring properties,
Right.
all while I'm still in college. So I'm in college. I'm modeling. I'm learning. I'm learning in school. Excuse me, and I'm also flipping properties all at the same time. So I've always preached to people who follow me that you have to have multiple streams of income.
Right.
You cannot rely just on one stream. And so at that point in time, I was, as I mentioned, I was going to school, and not only that, in the summertime, because I was studying to be a mechanical engineer, I was getting companies at like DuPont, for those that may know, 3M, like the 3M mask and everything.
Right.
General Electric, where they have light bulbs. So every summer, I actually spent time learning my trade, which is being a mechanical engineer.
Right.
At the same time, with me going to school, being a mechanical engineer, modeling and doing real estate, even at an early age. So I always knew also that I had to have a dual income.
Mm-hmm.
And when I say dual income, I wanted to go the corporate route because my mom would literally kill me if I didn't go to college.
Right.
I mean, that was instilled, you have to go to college. So I did my regular, go to school, get my corporate job, and then I always had real estate on the side.
Right.
So that was a no-brainer. And so after I graduated from college, I took a year off because I had enough money saved up. And then I traveled the world to model. I mean, I literally traveled. I mean, I spent a time, I was telling the guys that I lived in New York for a couple of years. So I lived in New York while I was actually in college. And then when I got out of college, because I was actually modeling, but I still was doing my real estate.
Right.
I actually put my corporate job on the back burner. Traveled the world for a couple of years, came back, and then I got I was traveling so much that I got burned out. Mm-hmm. And then also at the same time, the lifestyle of being a model is very tiring. It's like you have to party like a rock star. And I don't, as I told you guys earlier, I didn't drink or didn't party.
Right.
So my life kind of was a conflict.
Right. Kind of not alignment. No alignment.
There was no alignment. So
right.
when you don't have that alignment, your body, you don't feel like you're in a state of equilibrium. You feel off kilter all the time.
Right.
So even though I made great money, it wasn't the lifestyle that I could live and enjoy myself doing.
Right.
And at that point in time, I wasn't reading. I mean, we didn't have, of course, this is back in the early 90s. I mean, like I said, you guys probably weren't born in the 90s.
Or mid-90s.
Exactly. So I didn't have access to the things where I could actually learn another language. Or read a book on my phone because we didn't have that. We didn't have that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So there was a lot of things that I didn't have that if I would have had now, I would be in so much. I think who knows, I probably wouldn't even be here, speaking to you on this platform because I would have been elevated so much higher. Mm-hmm. And so you guys have the opportunity to actually have reach to people and actually talk to people that you would have never been able to talk to. Like, I didn't know you. Right. And I didn't know them, and they live in a totally different state, and they bring social media has brought people together that would never be together now. Game changing, honestly. Yeah, it is. And so with that, so I spent time really, at that point in time, learning the hard way. Right. It was a school of hard knocks to learn what I've learned.
Real quick, just not to cut you off, but this season of the Dropout Degree is actually called the School of Hard Knocks season. Yeah. So I like that. Cool. So
with that said, so as I did that, so when I graduated from college, I went, like I said, I modeled, came back from that, went to a corporate job, which it was like, you go out for making $200,000 a year at that point in time, which was great for a 22-year-old person. Right. Back to making like $50,000, being in a corporate life, going to work 8 to 5 or 9 to 5 every day. Right. I knew that wasn't the route for me. Right. But at the same time, I didn't want my education to go to waste, so I got my master's in business. So engineering is a very critical thinking, kind of locked in the
Right,
room. And I said,
complex,
you
yeah.
know, I want to be out with people. So I learned, I went to get my master's in business, where I could actually use that and start talking to people, getting out marketing and selling. So I wanted to have a complete, my whole goal was to be a balanced person.
Right.
And so being a balanced person allowed me to have the entrepreneurial side, which is the marketing and the business, and then the engineering side to be a critical thinker. So I just at that point in time, I felt like I was complete. And so I took my real estate business to another level, because at that point in time, once I got my master's, my company actually moved me back to Detroit, which was my hometown.
Right.
And so once I made it back to my hometown, I had access to all of my friends and all of my family, and I used my network then to start. I started out buying one property. Then the property, that I bought, as I was in corporate, I bought a property two doors down, and then other people would say, you know what, I have somebody around the block that wants to buy.
Right.
That wants to sell, so I would go ahead and buy their property.
Right.
And so it just started to cascade where I was buying properties and people were bringing me properties.
Right. And so how long were you in corporate? Are you still in corporate?
So no, so I left. So I was in corporate for basically 20 years. So in 1992, basically to almost 2012 was how long I was.
Oh wow.
I was in corporate, and so within corporate America, so there's a company called Bayer, like Bayer Aspirin. Right. I was the vice president of sales and marketing for North America. Right. By the time I decided to quit corporate America, so I climbed the ranks, not only being a minority, which there were no other minorities in that level, but also I had a great position where I could actually hire and fire and do all the rest of it, all while I was building my real estate business. Right. Even though so when you get to a VP, you're making $200,000 or $300,000 a year in salary plus bonuses, plus you have access, you have company cars, you have access to all the events that the Pistons game, any sporting event. So you have all that with corporate America, which actually, for my friends and family gave me status, I would say. But the real kicker was this real estate business that was almost a silent sleeper, because I was making more money in real estate than I was in my corporate job. Right. Okay. So you build that up over time. And what I did is I used a lot of friends and family to help me build that business. That's cool. I mean, now you later realize that friends and family don't always get you to where you want to be. They actually can pull you down versus help. Yeah, that's for sure. I think a lot of people can resonate with that. but you start out wanting them to be a part of your empire, because you want to get back to where you came from, and you want them to be successful and succeed. Right. So at that point in time, when I was in Michigan, I decided to grow the business. I grew where I was making, like I said, a ton of money. And I got to the point when I was taught, so I didn't, actually start to settle down until I was almost 40 years old. Wow, okay. And when I did that, we decided, me and my wife decided to move to Orlando. We kind of I just left corporate America. I decided it was time for me to go. It started to get to a point where the only reason I was really there in corporate America was to be, I would say, the spokesperson or the ambassador for all the minorities that were still in corporate. I mean, so all the women, the minorities that were not getting their fair share. And I felt like that I owed them, because I had made it to a certain point, I owed them for me to be there to watch over them, because they would not be taken, they wouldn't be taken care of. Right. And so what ethnicity are you? Say minorities. So I'm black. Right. Well, black? I mean, for the most part, my mom is mixed with, I think, German and Creole, and my dad is black. He was a lighter skin. His parents, his dad was fairly dark, and his mother was okay, cool. Black. I'm mixed too, so I was trying to wonder. I see lighter skin. I was like, what are you? My mom is black, and my dad is white and Hispanic. Okay. So I have that. Everyone's always like, what are you? Like Dominican, like Puerto Rican, like what are you? The guys said, they're like, oh, I thought you was Hispanic. I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm actually black. So. But I, identify with black, and most of my family's Creole, so from Louisiana. So for me, like I said, I've always been a purpose-driven person, where I want to make sure that I elevate all of the people that are around me. Right. And so real estate. So I was wholesaling. Getting back to the Detroit piece, I was wholesaling before I knew what wholesaling really was, because I was buying properties, and so many people would bring me properties. Right. And so how I got into the business is, I was flipping properties myself, and then as I was getting more and more properties, I could not physically do all the properties myself.
Right.
So I started then shedding those properties off to other people so they could make. I would throw $5,000 or $10,000 on it, and then they would get the property. So with that said, a lot of people would say, hey, you know what, Mac, I want to buy this property, but I don't have enough money. I'm like,
right.
Shit, I've accumulated enough money. I can loan you the money to do this property. So I would make, on an average deal, I might go ahead and they may make, after they flip the property, they may make $20,000 or $30,000. But I would make $20,000 or $30,000 on them and not even flip the property because I would, you know, put a fee on it plus lend them the money. So I'm getting money all the way along. Then I was a realtor. Then I would sell the property for them.
Right, so you get the commission as well.
So I get the commissions, but also sometimes they might even ask me to do the project management. And even though I didn't have the capacity to flip the property for them, I would then hire out some contractors and get the contractor money.
Right, so that's how you got into private lending.
That's how I got into private lending space because I had so many properties and so many people that needed it. I would make money from each and every piece.
Right, and so when you first got started and you first started buying houses and people started bringing houses to you, how did that like all come about? Was it that you had like all the cash flow that you saved for like the first few houses?
So,
because I know you were saying the houses were like a bit like cheaper back then, and you know were able to like sell like 54,000.
Right.
Now a lot of houses are $250,000, you know, $500,000. So how do you kind of get that to be able to build the cash flow where people are like, hey, like buy my house? And it was, and the reason as well for why people wanted to sell the houses, were they just losing houses? Like, was it the economy, or people just wanted to cash out and downgrade?
Right, so people were moving out of different areas. They wanted the cash flow. A lot of times, so what I usually focus on, I focus on distressed assets. That's my main, because I know, so the value in the distressed asset is the house is deteriorated. However, I know that it's worth $200. It may not only be worth $50,000 in the state that it's in, but if I go ahead and if it's worth 50 and I put 50 in it, that means it's 100, and I know that it's selling for 200. So I find those homes that unfortunately the people were either going to lose or they were going to be taken away from them anyway. So what I try to do is put some money in their pocket. I try to make every situation a win-win. Just getting somebody out of a debt sometimes is a win for them.
Oh yeah, for sure.
You know
Everybody has different goals.
Exactly, and so you have to understand when we communicate with one another, what is your objective? And so we can get you to your objective. I want to be able to do that, and it's a win-win for everybody. So that's so many times people want to come in and just take from people, or they don't want to understand. They just want their income. But you have to understand what the person that you're dealing with, what their income is.
Right, and that's a super good point. I know even just for like what I do and selling things online, one of the things that one of my mentors was telling me, because I was realizing, I was like, how come some people they can, you know, they get in, they get involved, and you know they'll pay for something, they'll take it to the moon, and then somebody else, maybe they'll struggle with the same thing, or somebody else will just kind of give up and not have like the determination to go get it. And I was like trying to figure out what is this different. And my mentor was like, hey, you have to figure out what do they want, and what exactly do they want. So, and I was realizing for me as a mistake that I was just marketing kind of one-dimensional. I was like, hey, this is what's possible. And it's like some people just want to get out of debt. Some people just want to pay back the student loan. Some people just want to, you know, retire mom. Some people want to make $1 million a month. And so like until you know, and in a lot of people that sell things today, like they just kind of will run out. It's like just, hey, you can have this, you can have that. And it's like, man, like if you can just find a way to get people what exactly they want, let them tell you what they want, then you can just tell them, hey, I can help you do that. And you sell way more efficiently. So I like how you do that. With your real estate, because I mean, it sounds like once you do that, it just becomes effortless.
It does, and that's what you try to create is something that's effortless. And so one of the things about it, you know, people, you know, I work from home, and like most people do now. Right. I was working, you know, from home before most people were, and you know, my problem is that I don't know how to shut it off. And the reason I don't know how to shut it off because what I do doesn't feel like work. It just it happens effortlessly, and as it becomes effortlessly and you can make money at it, it's like, you know, I don't know it. My wife is like, you have to shut that, you have to have boundaries with people. And so for me but I feel like I'm talking to you. You know, even though I'm talking to you and they're actually giving me money as I'm talking to you. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, how can you not? You know, how can you not? And so I don't feel like I'm taking anything. I think I'm giving them value. I'm giving them what they want because I've heard them tell me, this is what I want, Mac. And I'm delivering them what they want. So it's a fair exchange. And it happens to be my passion to be able to help people. So but I want to make money at doing it.
Right,
Because
that
if
makes sense.
if I didn't, then I wouldn't be able to live. And so this is how, you know, we get to today where, you know, my main business really is private lending. Now, don't get me wrong, I do still wholesale. I don't really flip anymore unless a great deal comes into my lap.
Right,
I mean, where it actually makes sense to go ahead and flip a property. There's
Is
not
it just like a time and energy thing?
it's
or-
a time and energy. It's
Right.
just a time and energy. And so for me, when I lend money, I can make so much more money lending money to someone and selling that note to someone else who wants to buy it, which is a whole nother discussion. But for those people that want to get into real estate, they want to get into it passively instead of renting a property, it's better to actually buy a note because you don't actually have to do you understand the deal, you understand how the flow of the deal, but you don't actually physically have to be responsible. You're the bank. So the banks are in business to make money. And so now I'm a black man from the city of Detroit that's really an individual bank now.
Wow.
I'm a bank.
Right.
And so now, even though I'm not Citibank and I'm not Chase,
Right.
I'm Matt Major, that's a bank that actually makes money and has the leverage on all of these properties that will be sitting in a bank not really earning that much money.
Right. And so when you do private lending, how are you finding like people that are coming to you to like get lending? Is it people that you know? And is it like paying back in like lump sum, or is it like financing and paying back interest? How does that kind of work?
So what happens is, number one, most people when you understand the ability, the power of leverage.
Right.
So what people are doing is they're leveraging the small amount of money that they have to go out and get a loan for a bigger amount so they can do more.
Right.
And so for me, when I go to the bank, when I say, listen, Matt Major may have $5 million, but they let me leverage my $5 million and give me $50 million.
Right.
You use the power of leverage. So somebody comes to me and says, Mac, I have $20,000. I want to buy a property. I'm like, okay, well, I can put you into a property and loan you money.
Right.
So they pay me monthly on the money that I just say they want a $100,000 loan. I charge them 12% interest. They pay me $1,000 a month until it's paid off. And then usually it's for a year, a given set time. And then at the end, after they flip the property, they then have to pay me back my lump sum at the end. So
Right, okay.
And so that's why I was telling you, if you actually finance that for them, you don't have to flip a property, you don't have to worry about getting your renters,
Right.
somebody calling you saying, hey, my toilet's overflowing. You actually buy it. So if I would originate that note, those people will come in and buy that note at $100,000 for me, the same amount
Right.
that I loaned them, but I make my money on the fees on the front side.
Right.
So, like I said, I may charge them 6 points on $100,000, which means I might make $6,000 up front.
Right.
And then I make $1,000 unless you came in and Josh was like, you know what, Mike, I got $100,000. So okay, Josh, here it is. You take the note now, and now they pay you $100,000 a month.
Right. Okay. And then they pay you back in full lump sum once they flip the property.
Once it goes to sale, there's called paperwork, and so they can't sell that property and walk away with that money because I have a mortgage and a promissory note on that property.
Right.
That means once the person buys it for them, that I get my money first before they get their money.
Okay. Okay. So it's essentially they're almost like short term owning the properties and getting paid off like the interest while they're taking that time to try to figure out how to sell it.
Exactly.
Wow. Okay. Cool. So compared to them getting a mortgage with the bank and paying the bank for like 30 years and a small fee, you're getting that. That's wow. It's powerful.
It's short term, and so the power that for those people that have it. That's why I try to tell people, when you get into the financial side, don't get me wrong, you can go ahead and flip a property. That's great. If you want to wholesale a property, that's great. It's all of the value, the time value of money. So a lot of people who flip properties, they use that as their income.
Right.
And when I say it, they use them as their income because when you get a loan from me, you get money to buy the property, and then you get construction money to fix up the property.
Right. So you run the whole process.
Right. So if you're flipping this property and you're a contractor, you're basically paying yourself through the construction money that I'm giving you.
Right.
So you always have a job. So every time you find a property and you get a loan, you have a job. You're ensuring and that allows them to be their own boss as well.
Right.
So not only does it give them the opportunity to go out and make money, but it allows them the chance to be their own boss and control their own destiny.
Right. So like the external things that getting out of their control.
Right. So
Great control.
and so that's the goal, is to be able to gain control of your own life.
Right.
Now the problem that most people run into is what we talked about earlier, is most people don't understand that they need education to get them to the next level.
Right.
And so they keep doing the same thing over and over again. Now it may work, but they're never elevating their game to actually maximize. They're not leveraging their knowledge. Just like we talked about, leverage is power.
Right.
So what I always try to do with most people is put velocity on things. If you're going, don't get me wrong, you can walk to wherever you want to go, you can drive to wherever you want to go, or you can take a plane to wherever you want to go.
Right.
You might go to the same destination, but you need to put velocity, because time is money.
Right.
And so that's one of the things that I always try to educate people on. Try to find the fastest and most efficient way without you jeopardizing the quality of what you're trying to do.
Right. Okay, cool. So, and real quick, I want to just backtrack for a quick second.
Sure.
Earlier, you're talking about when you're first in college, you're doing modeling,
Yeah.
you were doing real estate on the side, and you're doing the business, and then you got into corporate. Sounded like a lot of stuff. I know you said you got burnt out, and I think burnout is one of the common things with an entrepreneur. I've been burnt out before. I hate being burnt out, and all these crazy emotions and feelings and different things kind of come with it.
Yeah.
And so I want to know, until you did get burnt out, how did you manage like these kind of multiple things at once? Like, what was your way of feeling like being productive? What was your way of not getting like too sidetracked or too zoned into one thing that allowed you to do that? Because I know a lot of people, and maybe people that are listening to this right now, they'll do one thing, and the second they try to pick something else, the whole thing crumbles.
Yeah. So I think the biggest thing that I really realized that I needed to do was I needed to go in and I need to sort out a process.
Right.
And once I got that process going, you don't throw on 20 things on top of you all at once that you can't process.
Right.
And so what I did is I learned something very well. And once I was able to learn that very well and put a process in place, then I could bring in key people to help facilitate that job or that process that needed to get done. And then I could go on and move on to the next thing.
Right.
But I never took on all of it all at once, because, I didn't want to be a jack of all trades and a master of none.
Yeah.
I wanted to understand and then put the right person in place.
Right. So it sounds like a lot of like time and energy things. So like pouring time and energy into here, and once you got it down, once you can systemize it, you can put less energy in there. Then you put somebody there or give you more time. So now you have that time to be able to put the energy in somewhere else.
And even though I may make less money, I was then multiplying. I was putting velocity on that business, because I know that I can't be here and there at the same time.
Right.
So even though I was making less money, I was making more money as a whole. And when I go ahead and I talk to people and I spend time with other people, even if you and I were in the same field, I would say, you know what, Josh, I'm not really worried about us being in the same field and me cannibalizing your business. We're just gonna make this pie bigger. It's about making that pie bigger, so we don't have to worry about taking from one another. We're actually collaborating with each other to strategize on how we're gonna make this bigger.
Right.
So we all get our share.
I like that. Real quick, let me
Give us 1 second too. We gotta restart the
Yeah.
camera. Cool. You do that for me? Thank you. Okay.
No, I really like that you said that. I feel like, especially in the internet space, I don't know, it could be essentially the same, but I know at least in the internet space, everybody thinks it's compete. And so what I noticed is a lot of people, instead of trying to build like the tallest building, instead of people trying to build the biggest empire, they're going around trying to knock everybody else's down. They're going around trying to ruin everybody else's name as a way to create this illusion that they're bigger, that they're better, that they can do more. And I've realized just with what I've done, all of my success has came when I've just been able to grab people with different talents, have respect for their abilities, for their attributes, for the values, put them all together, and that's when it comes like a machine. And like you said, the whole industry gets bigger, the whole space gets bigger, the amount of volume, multiplies, rather than, us trying to take his cell, take that cell, go back and forth. And so I really like how you explain that. I think for all the listeners right now, if you guys are listening to this right now, we say it all the time: collaboration over competition. Absolutely. It's so powerful.
Absolutely. And it's because we talk about building your network. And so part of collaborating is building the network.
Right.
Because there may be something that I may not know anything about, and say, you know what, Josh is in that space, JP, Lewis. I mean, these people are doing things that I'm not currently doing.
Right.
Why am I going to limit my opportunities for growth and knowledge and expansion and potentially to make money just because I don't know? Your network is your net worth.
Right. Blocking blessings.
Yeah.
And it's actually crazy when I really think about it. So I'm thinking, you know, especially with a new space like where technology and social media and just like you said, being able to reach people on the other side of the planet, a different state, different country, and be able to make deals happen with just, you know, the snap of a finger. You know, you never know what that next thing that may come out with, and somebody may pick up on it, and it can be, you know, something that can amplify your business 100x. And you know, so when people are going around and creating this competition, you burn bridges with the wrong person.
I was just going to say burning bridges, and it doesn't. You don't have to burn bridges. I mean, even if a deal doesn't go right or whatever, it's not about knocking somebody down. It just didn't work.
Right.
You don't have to tear somebody down because a relationship didn't work. You know, people can have differences, and we can have differences of opinion. But if we do, it's like, okay, well, you know, maybe we shouldn't work together. However, I'm still not going to tear you down. This person's still a good person, still has a good product.
Mm-hmm.
You know, hey, and if you have something that I don't have, I might even pass that person still over to you.
Right.
Because, you know, we talked about different levels of offerings. I mean, I may have a higher offering than you do. And so, you know what, if you're looking for that, you need to see Josh for it.
Right.
And I think you should do that because they may have somebody who says, you know what, I'm looking for more of a higher level of mentorship.
Right.
And so you need to go see Josh for that.
Right. And what it comes down to as well, I think, is like the focus, where people are putting the focus on. So when you're focusing on, you know, bringing somebody down, you're focusing on competing.
It's the wrong energy.
Right. And what I realized too is actually, you know, you probably heard the phrase before, how you doing things like you everything.
Yeah.
And so what I've realized with a lot of people, it's a trait that they carry over into different areas of their life. Yeah. So for example, maybe it's like a social media life feed or something, and you see like a troll in the comments and they're trying to get attention and they're trying to, you know, stir up problems. This person is most likely doing that in their business. This person is most likely going around trying to, you know, cause problems in their business. And, you know, instead of supporting, instead of, you know, contributing, instead of empowering, they're going around and they're just, you know, trying to put everybody down. And it's really unfortunate, you know, because I feel like it seems like it's so simple, the thing to be like, it doesn't make any sense to do. Like, it feels like it's so simple to be like, you know, it doesn't, not gonna work for you. Like, if you collaborate, you can do better. But I feel like when people are in that state of mind, they're like, it's kind of like wearing a hat like this. Yeah. They can't see, their perspective's not clear.
They got blinders on. And
right.
So, and so for me, it most definitely opens up. You know, one of the things that I decided to do was I had a wholesale business. I had a good company. We talked about, you know, everybody makes $100,000. I mean, we made anywhere between $100,000 to $300,000 a month wholesaling properties.
Right.
Never having any ownership of the property whatsoever. Getting it from the seller, being the middleman, selling it to someone. I mean, and so, you know, we talked about, you know, earlier. I wish that I could make something for a penny and sell it for 2 or 3 pennies, and I'm going to do a bazillion of those.
Right.
And that's where the numbers come in. It's like, okay, well, what is that? I mean, that's making, you know, $10 to $20 million a year off of selling something that costs very little. But what I decided to do was, instead of being with my partner, that there's hundreds of thousands of wholesalers across the nation.
Right.
And so being with one, they're like, you're my competition if you're a wholesaler. So if I'm a wholesaler and you're a wholesaler, so that means that really my main business is a private lender. So,
right.
And so I can make so much money off of being a private lender than I can being a wholesaler. So I'm like, you know what?
It's wholesalers come to you, right?
Well, so as a lender, they come to me, but as a wholesaler, I'm the middleman. And so you may have a wholesale company that buys and sells properties, and I have one. But if you're my competition, if I want to do a loan, you're not going to come to me to get a loan, theoretically.
Right.
You're not going to come to me because I'm the competition.
Right.
So if I'm no longer your competition, I'm just a private lender. So I stepped away from the wholesale business. Now, don't get me wrong, I understand everything forward and backwards about wholesaling, but you have so much liability, it takes so much time, it takes so much marketing.
Right.
Everybody needs money, so everybody goes to the private lender.
Right. So you open up a whole new market.
You open up a whole new market across the United States that's no longer competition.
And since you know the ins and the outs, gave you a complete unfair advantage, really.
Exactly. And so for me, it was more advantageous for me to give up the wholesale side of my business, because now people don't feel like I'm a threat anymore.
Like that.
This is a guy that's going to help me versus be my competition and take away. So I think it's just the way. And so for me, it was just, And so I walked away from the business. I still help my partner. And not only that, I can help my partner. If you're a wholesaler, I can help you, or Lewis or JP. I can now help all these wholesalers be more successful.
Right.
And in return, they're going to send me more business.
Right.
So before, I wouldn't want you to have the knowledge that I have that makes me a successful wholesaler.
Right.
So now I can go out and help educate and elevate everyone. And we all win from it.
Right, cool. And as a side note, a quick plug for whoever's watching this, I know a ton of real estate entrepreneurs, a ton of wholesalers. What type of commission do you pay for me sending wholesalers out to you, man?
So all of that's.
I'm an affiliate marketer, by the way. That's one of my number one things. So let's figure out how to make some money right here, right now.
Exactly. And so I can do that, whether or not you bring me borrowers or helping out wholesalers. I mean, there's commissions that go with it, and we can talk about that and make sure that you and anybody that you bring to the table make some money off of these deals.
Dope. So if you guys are listening to this right now, DM JetSetFly on Instagram and say #Mac Major, and we'll plug you in. We'll get talking. We'll make some deals happen, man.
Absolutely.
Cool, man. And so here's what I want to know. I know you've been in this space for about 25 years. That's about almost. I'm 22. I'm 22. So you've been in the industry. You've been working. You've been doing deals longer than I've been alive.
Yeah.
And so I know I'm just my 4 years of entrepreneurship online with what I do and social media stuff. I've had a ton of experience. I've been through tons of trials and tribulations, and I've worked with hundreds of people in my network. And I've seen people burn people. I've seen people, steal money. I've seen people do amazing things. I've seen people make mistakes. I've seen people, and I just think I feel like I've seen it all. And I know there's a lot more for me to see.
I haven't seen anything yet, really, to be honest.
Yeah, and that's the crazy part. That's the crazy part. And because every time I tell my story to people, and every time people ask me, like, hey, man, what's this, what's that? I start explaining, like, what the hell, bro? I feel like, you have to be so much older. You have to have so much experience. And I'm just like, man, I'm in it for a ride still. And so I'm interested to hear, and, I know I've had a lot of people lately on my social media been wanting to hear about real estate or even like the Airbnb business. We have JP and Lewis here do Airbnbs. And because it's one of the things that I've had friends in the space with, but I haven't talked too much on. I've talked about passive income with ATM businesses. I talked about e-commerce, talked about affiliate marketing and like softwares. And I kind of brought on some real estate people who shared their story, but we never got into like the deep details. And everybody was new. Everybody's been in real estate as long as I've been in affiliate marketing. It's like 3-4 years. So I'm curious to know, and I know everybody else who's in the space is curious to know, what type of obstacles have you kind of ran into and overcame, and just like unique situations as well throughout your experience? In this 25 years, what's something that you would say for somebody who's getting started in real estate or been in real estate brand new that they should kind of look out for and can pick up off your knowledge from in your experience?
So what I see a lot of times is, number one, you make in real estate. I don't know how it is in your type of business, but you make money on a purchase of the property. That's where you make the money, because if you go into the deal is set up right, that determines everything else, because you basically reverse engineer everything. If you bought it at the right price, you most definitely should be able to sell at the right price. The biggest thing that people run into, the biggest problem that actually derails them, most buyers or borrowers, is that you don't have a clear plan. You see something, you make an impulsive buy based on what somebody else told you, because you weren't educated enough to know what to buy and what your plan was, and then you start trying to piecemeal things together. I don't know how you do your business, but if you sat down today and you started to try to add things that you knew nothing about to your business, you probably would fail.
Right.
If you went to a doctor or to a dentist that had no experience in doing teeth extractions or fillings, you probably would leave out there with a pain somewhere, okay? You left out with the tooth at all. And so most people, not only do they not plan, but once they get into a property, they give all of their control over it, probably to a contractor, because that contractor is supposed to get you from point A to B.
Right. Now, what's usually the role of the contractor, real quick, for people who are just kind of tuning in?
So a construction contractor basically helps you put that property back. Now, as I mentioned, most people buy what they call distressed properties, or properties that need work. And so you go out and you hire either a licensed contractor or a non-licensed contractor to perform those repairs for you.
Right.
Most people get taken by contractors. They lose they overpay the contractor usually does not finish the work. They have to hire in another contractor that then probably tears out for the material and the time that you've already put in. They tear that out, and then you have to repurchase all of that over again, and then it adds time to your project.
Right.
Time when you're, as I mentioned before, if I'm loaning you money and your project was supposed to be 3 months and your project is now 9 months at $1,000 a month, that means that you've lost $9,000
Right.
in time because
Right.
you had to pay. Not in addition to all of the tear out of materials that went into it that have to be torn out.
Right. So additional charges from there.
Additional charges. You may have lost $20,000 and your project is not even finished yet.
And your energy's drained.
And your
And your confidence is lower.
now you feel defeated. You've given up some of your savings. You may have quit your job to start to try to pursue real estate. So there's so many things that can actually take your legs out from under. Like when you talk about people who try to take your legs out, you can have people in your camp that actually take your legs out too from up underneath you because you just don't know better.
Right.
And you have to understand, it's not about what you always hear somebody says, it's about their actions as well.
Yeah.
Because somebody can tell you that they love you and they're stabbing you in your chest while they're telling you.
Yeah.
Or in your back. So you have to make sure that throughout the process that you understand, you go into it, you understand what you're buying, that you have a clear plan, that you're educated, and that you have a contractor. You might have to vet 2 or 3 different contractors before you actually allocate a contract to them. And so it's about you being informed enough, and then don't let somebody else control your destiny. Be involved in that process.
Yeah.
Don't give the keys to the castle over to someone without you being in control of what your project, because your money is on the line and that property is in your name. So if you default on it, it goes against your credit.
Right.
And if your credit is ruined at a young age or at any age, you can't buy anything.
Right. Right.
You are cut off, your legs are cut. So you have to control your own destiny.
Right.
Whether or not you're an entrepreneur or not, you have to control your own destiny from day one.
I like that tip too, because I think a lot of people, I've just seen in my space, even from personal experience, is they'll be ignorant. I always say ignorance is not bad. You just don't know. It's lack of information, lack of knowledge.
Ignorance is bliss. You don't know.
Right. And so because of that, they run into issues, they run into problems, run into errors. They get burned on deals, whatever it is. And one of the 2 things that kind of I feel like that determines your future after that is, number one, sometimes people go, hey, I'm gonna take ownership for this. I was ignorant. This is my mistake. I let somebody take advantage of me. Because that one thing for me, I remember at one point I got quote unquote screwed over. But in the case of the business, the real estate business, the contractors, they're not going around necessarily saying, I want to screw these people over, but I'm trying to get the most money from the deal. And so they're just doing their business, being an entrepreneur, trying to get the highest paid. Yeah. But the ignorance of the people that are working with are being taken advantage of because they just don't know.
Yeah.
And so it's so important, as an entrepreneur, as a business person, as I said, anybody, to get that information, to be educated, and take full ownership and full responsibility, because otherwise you're gonna get taken advantage of. And it's ultimately, at the end of the day, it's your fault because you're the only one who could have prevented it. That person was going to do the same job no matter what. They're going to push the limits, push the boundaries no matter what. And so the number one thing for you guys who are listening right here, you guys got to get educated. You can't just, like you said, take somebody's word for it. You can't hand the keys over to your castle, because the people who do that, they ultimately put their life and their future in somebody else's hands, and then they start to blame. Yeah. And they start to blame. And once you do that, you're lost control of your entire life. All of a sudden you think that you're at where you're at because of somebody else. And when you do that, then your brain, start audio quick. But once you start to give control over to somebody else, what starts to happen after that is your subconscious brain starts to go I shouldn't work on this anymore. I shouldn't go hard at this anymore because it's not my fault. Yeah. If it's not my fault, then I can't take responsibility to fix it because it's out of my, and so that's one of the most probably dangerous things that any entrepreneur can do. And so I really like that.
It's detrimental to your future to do that. And you have to say, hey, you know what? I didn't have control of this. Now I need to gain the reins back in order to control this. And when I tell a lot of people, listen, if you choose not to pay for education, that's okay. But you're going to pay one way or the other. You might as well pay and actually be educated, because you're going to 9 times out of 10 you're going to lose money
Yes.
Because you're going to learn by the school of hard knocks, and then you could have actually learned the proper process that could have actually helped you systematically work through these issues to get further ahead,
Right.
so you don't make the same mistakes over and over again. Because you may not really know where you made a mistake. You know something's wrong, but you may not know where you made it because you haven't educated yourself properly from it. So I say, you know what, you might as well pay now, but everybody wants to be a slick guy. They want to, figure a way to finagle the system to get more, to get more, and then you wind up later that, damn, I should have just paid and done it the right way.
Right.
And so the reason I know that is because when I started out doing construction and working with people, I used to think I could always get out the cheap way. Well, this guy who I know knows how to do it right, is going to charge me $1,000, but this guy is going to do it for $500. Long story short, I would wind up going ahead spending $500, having to tear it out because by the time the inspector came by and said it was incorrect, I wasted time and money. It probably wound up costing me $1,500.
Right.
When I could have just paid the $1,000, had it done, and had it, taken care of it, done it the right way. So I just tell people, you know what, you have to invest in your future. And if you want a half-ass future, invest half-ass. Or if you want to get it done and do it right, spend the money with somebody who you know is going to educate you, elevate your game.
Right.
Versus actually tear you down and actually pull you in the wrong direction.
One thing my dad used to tell me when I was younger, he says that there's no shortcuts in life. If you try to take a shortcut, you're probably going to end up taking the same amount of time that you would have took if you did it the right way, or even longer. And the reality is, if you do it right the first time, you don't got to do it again. And so it's better to go the certain route. It's better to go the route that 100%, guarantee you're going to get the result that you expect, rather than kind of like gamble or roll the dice. And that's super important, man, because for my space, kind of what I do when I was, it's all online. It's like affiliate software stuff, e-commerce. And when I first got started, and this is to my ignorance, I still look back and I'm like, I wonder if there was more people I could learn from. I felt like, at least at the time, this is for anybody watching this right now, this is a big tip. If you feel like what you're doing, you're like emerging into new space, or if what you're doing, you're alone and nobody else has done it, and you're trying to figure something out. Number one, do your research, go meet more people, go talk, go ask more questions. Because I started listening to my story about a year and a half ago, and I was like, man, I had to figure it out on my own. I looked back and I'm like, wait, I don't even know if I even did the research to see if there's anybody else I can necessarily learn from and figure it out. Maybe I did it the hard way, because I thought I had to. And ultimately, my personality type, I was going to get it done no matter what. And so because I felt like I had to, I did it. But I feel like a lot of people, because they'll ask me, and then they're like, yo, bro, how much work do you put in? I'm like, man, I put in hours, I put in days. I'm kind of like you, where I don't have an off. It's what I do, I'm passionate about, so it never feels like I'm, yeah. So it's just kind of like, this became a lifestyle. If I'm not working, I'm like, wait, what am I doing with myself? And so because of that, I was able to kind of create my own map and, pick a little bit of nuggets maybe from this person here and try to fuse it into my own system. And I lost a lot of money. Over the years, I've had countless merchant accounts, shut down. A lot of stuff online is high risk, like digital products, or will grow too fast and they'll put a pause on it. And so for example, I would spend money on ads. I spend 60, 70K on ads for a month, and we do $250,000 sales. And I'm like, oh yeah, we're crushing it, we're killing it. And then I get an email sorry, your funds are on hold for 180 days. We're gonna restrict, moving forward, we're gonna get paid 30% of your stuff. I gotta pay off this credit card bill. What the hell? And I'm trying to now open up a new merchant, do it again, and then they close down the next one in a week. And so I found myself when I was first getting started, whenever I tried to have massive growth in my business, immediate resistance. And I never took the time to go find out hey, what happens if I just go process a bunch of sales in a single given month? What happens if a new business, without any, history or any background or any, rapport with, a bank or a merchant, can I grow? And so ultimately, I've learned the hard way. Now I can look back and I'm I go slower, I have a plan, and I execute and to grow. And so I feel like even in your space, it can be even, like you said, even more difficult because you're dealing with not just, sales and merchants and money, but tangible assets, and people's living situations and stuff like that.
It's most definitely so. My wife always asks me, she always says, Matt, well, first and foremost, a lot of people always ask me, what do you really do? Because I do have a lot of what I would say younger guys that I do business with. And one of the main reasons is because, number one, I like the entrepreneurial spirit that most have. And
Right.
second of all, you know, they were like, a lot of people say, well, you know, because I'm around, and they're like, what does Mac do? What value does he bring to your business?
Right.
And I would say the majority of what I bring to the business is the knowledge base. And not only that, because I've been around for so long, I know how to make sure help you facilitate. So if I'm a 51-year-old guy and they're dealing with a 22.
Oh, wait, you look young for 51, bro. You look young for 51, by the way.
But so they might say, you know what? I lend credibility to a lot of people do. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So if I go into a bank and they say, you know, they'll deal with me because age. It sounds like, okay, well, you should have that type of wealth.
Right.
If you come in at 22,
Right.
they may say,
Hold up, what the hell?
what's going on? You
Yeah.
know, let me flag this account. And
Right.
so what happens?
And that does happen. I've had that happen. And I've had to go reach out to other people, mentors. I'm like, yo, can you help co-sign with this? Can you help make this happen for me?
Those are the things, and so just through where I'm at, it lends the ability for people to navigate a space that they wouldn't normally be able to navigate. And not only that, I'm not out trying to take from you because I already have.
Right.
And so there's a lot of other people that may not have that may give you so this is kind of when you give the keys to the castle, because you can't navigate that space. Now you have to give me the keys to the castle for me to help navigate.
Right.
But I may not be in a position, I may say, well, shit, but he's got us good and I'm taking it.
Right.
And so therefore you have to align yourself with people of equal value or higher value to
Right.
actually start being able to put yourself in a better place.
Right.
And so that's kind of what, you know, so when you talk about seeking out people, you find mutually beneficial joint ventures that go in that equally make each person benefit from.
Right.
It's got to be mutually beneficial.
That's so powerful too, because I've worked with people in the past before, and I thought just because maybe their status or their age or their experience, like, hey, maybe this could be like mutually beneficial. And then I find myself being like this work dog, where I'm just going and going and going, and I'm making like this other individual like so much money. And I'm like, hey, like when are you gonna kind of help me out now? When are you gonna? And they're like, yo, just keep going, bro, keep going.
Yeah, man, keep going.
Yeah,
Keep
like,
going.
soon. And then next thing you know, I'm like, hold on, wait, this is not going anywhere. And I find myself at that point, it's like now I want to back up, and then the other person's like, hey, what's up? Like, why are you backing up? And it's like this resistance, this tension, and it's like, wait, what the fuck? Like I thought fuck from day one. And but again, it goes into the ignorance and not having the education, and so it goes into like. I think one thing that my mentor told me is like, you gotta slow down.
Yeah.
You gotta be mindful. You gotta be present. You gotta, don't be in such a rush. Because I used to grind and hustle like to the point where I would get things and I would, have nice things and I would, reach nice success. But then like I wouldn't enjoy it because I'm like, I'm on to the next. I want to go bigger. And I never really slowed down. And so like I would jump at every opportunity, and I find myself like getting burned or putting myself in the wrong situations. So now I'm going back with a more like strategic approach. Like, how do I get educated? Where do I need to invest my money into? Where do I need to invest my time and my energy into to make sure when I move forward, I actually know what I'm getting into, rather than just, because I've handed my keys away to the castle multiple times. I mean, it's built my character. But, for a lot of people who are watching this and listening to this right now, they may not have that perseverance or the experience to say like, man, I can get it back, or I can, rebuild.
People stop, they just give up. They go back to a corporate job where they say, you know what, this is just too much. So not everybody does have the perseverance to actually stay with it. And so, but you do, as you get older, you're a lot more patient, you're a lot more methodical.
Right.
Don't get me wrong, you still have that burning energy and that grind in you, but you know that, let me take a breath. So it's like if somebody says something to you, if you're hot-headed, you might just go back. And so for me, I'm like, okay, I heard what you said. Let me process let me make sure I'm hearing you right before I snap on your ass.
Right.
But you have to do that, and you learn that patience. And when you learn that patience, it helps you process things that are coming. But I will tell you, I mean, I spent a lot of time in martial arts. I've been doing martial arts for 25 plus years. So things become, when you train so much, like you train your mind, things become second nature.
Right.
You don't actually have to think about what you're going to do.
Right.
You just do it. So you take in the information, you process, do I move out of the way? Do I strike? What do I do? And so that's what you have to do. And you have to train yourself in every aspect. And so I value, most definitely to discuss, because I believe not only, are we discussing what we both do, but I believe this will lead, hopefully we're helping other people in the process.
Right.
And hopefully it will lead to other collaborations, with us and other people in the future, because having that network is so important.
Right. No, it's cool too. I'm excited because I plan on getting into real estate. One of the things I realized over the past few years, I've made millions of dollars online, but I've also spent millions of dollars as well. And so now going back up, I'm like, okay, like where do I put my money? Where do I invest my money? So one of my plans this year is to like really get into real estate heavy, start investing, and just stacking away my money rather than just, spending on liabilities or spending on travel. But, be able to build an empire that's tangible that lives long past me. And that's one of my goals. And I'm excited to just be young and coachable, have the teachability index high enough to be able to do that and document it as well. So I know this because I know there's a lot of young people who watch my stuff and they get excited and they just go out and 5 months later you're like, what happened to this guy? They go up and they go right back down. And so it's so important to just get around people that have again experience and things that you desire that you want. So I'm excited for this.
And I think, and like I said, I always try to, like I said, make sure that people have some generational wealth. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's always great to have money now.
Right.
But the crazy thing about it is, what's your legacy? What are you actually, what will they remember you by?
Right.
And so for me, one of the things that I want to be able to do, I have 2 small kids, I want to be able to leave them something. And so hopefully I'm building that empire that you talk about that's full of memories, but it's also money and real estate. And then for those people who are out there who have families and all the rest of them that want to leave something, everybody should have a life insurance policy. I'm not into, I don't sell insurance, I don't do anything, but everybody who should have, like you got car insurance, you got house insurance,
right?
You need life insurance as well.
Right.
And that affords those people that are around you to be able to, unfortunately, you're gonna die, unfortunately, but when you do it, you can actually leave some people who mean something to you, something that didn't really, don't get me wrong, when it says it doesn't really cost you that much to leave.
Right.
So, for those people that are out there that are listening, insure your assets. You do it. And if you're walking around and you don't have life insurance, you don't have car insurance, you don't have house insurance, you don't have health insurance. These are all of those things to ensure
set yourself up for failure.
You're setting yourself up for failure. You have to have it. And those people who are out there transacting, you need to have E&O insurance.
Right.
Errors and omissions insurance, because that then protects you from, if you made a mistake with someone, or that you sold somebody some faulty stuff, or you didn't even know that somebody sold you something. Errors and omissions insurance helps protect you as a person, so nobody comes after you personally for things.
Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
So errors and omissions, basically, if you're out there conducting business and you don't actually, somebody doesn't provide what they need to, and somebody comes back to sue you, you have basically a policy that says, you know what, I made an error, or I forgot to tell you this, or I forgot to tell you that. That's the omission side. So you make an error or you have an omission, then that covers you for a certain dollar amount. So if somebody comes after you, then you're protected.
Right. That sounds important. So
it is,
get that out.
Especially if you're out there transacting, because you're supposed to be the person or the guru or something else.
Right.
You have intentionally or unintentionally done something, then you're covered. So that's what I'm saying. It may cost you $2,000 or $3,000 a year, but it might save you millions of dollars.
Yeah, no, for sure.
So those are those things that you protect yourself.
I like that. And so, let me get this one. Good. Record for 15-minute sessions.
Can you?
Yeah, the battery just died. And that was 30 minutes, so that was like a 4-hour.
Cool.
30-minute sessions.
Let's charge it up. We'll wrap it up.
Yeah, that's fine. So it's crazy that we said we're going to 30 minutes.
Yeah, I know.
Welcome to Josh. I already know when he says 30 minutes, I double it.
But that's, as long as that means that
Value.
Information.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. Got people in here saying truth on life insurance. I got life insurance last year, but I like the EOA.
By the way, you wrong.
EOA or EOO?
E&O.
Cool.
Plug in Wanda Madrid for life insurance.
Yeah,
His mom
His
mom does what is the actual term? I can't think of it ever. She said she'd get mad at me for not knowing it.
What, life insurance?
She does stuff, the estate plans.
Estate planning, that life insurance,
Estate planning, yeah.
Right.
Everything should be trust, everything.
Yeah,
Yeah, she
that
does
all
all
too,
that.
all set up.
Yeah.
She was on my ass last year, like, you gotta get set up, you gotta get set up. I'm like, yeah, soon. Then eventually I was like, all right, I gotta get set
Yeah,
up.
you do. You need
Yeah.
to put everything in the trust.
How much is the policy for it? You know,
It just depends on what you're doing, what type of business you're doing.
Oh,
But basically,
That sounds like some
it's
solid
gonna
shit.
cost you about $3,000.
We're all like, wait, why did we not know that?
Yeah.
See, we just got the biggest nugget
That's
ever.
too
Imagine
good, man.
if
I
we
know,
would
I
have
heard
had
of that, bro. Oh yeah.
that.
Cool. So the next thing I want to go into real quick is number one, what are your goals moving forward? You say 51 years old, 2 kids, you know, you want to build an empire, leave something behind. What are your goals moving forward, with just business and life in general?
So as far as my overall goals, I mean, it's one of those things you never know what's going to happen tomorrow. I continue to love real estate. So my passion is constantly helping people get to where they want to go. So I think, you know, when I would say financially, I want to continue to loan money. So I'm going to have a hedge fund pretty soon.
Oh, cool.
So currently I lend a lot of my money from my own personal money. And then what I do is I have somebody actually buy these notes from me. So I kind of like recirculate my money constantly, but I'm actually going to come up with a hedge fund that people can invest in if they would like to.
Wow.
And basically it will be going into buying properties, single family properties, multi-family properties, and it also will give you the ability to buy some of these notes. So we're going to be generating a fund that actually allows this constant circulation of money at a given rate of return for people. So that's what I would like to continue to do. My wife is, you know, she's currently on a television show. She wants to then, you know, kind of get more into, I would say, talk shows. She doesn't want to be necessarily an actress, but she wants to do more of a talk show type format. And
Like
so
an
just,
Oprah, right?
yeah, something like that.
That's really cool, actually.
Yeah, and so you know, my life is I live a. So when you say, hey, do I want to be this super mogul or whatever else? I mean, I just want to live life. And so a lot of people, you know, at 22, you may say, hey, you know what, this is where I want to be. But I can tell you where I'm at right now, I would have never thought that I would have been 5 years ago, 10 years ago, because my goal, I mean, everything changes. And as you, I mean, I don't know exactly, you know, at 22, but you're going to see every couple of years, if not every year, your business is going to change.
Right.
And you're going to have to learn to adapt to whatever the latest and greatest thing is. So I can't tell you what I'm going to be next year, because I can honestly tell you every 2 years, my business and what I'm doing has either grown, shifted, or elevated me to a different level to where I'm at now.
Right.
So
just going with the flow.
And so what it is when you're an entrepreneur, you have to, because I don't know I mean, you know, theoretically, when I talk about, honestly, I would like to do, what I'm telling you is, I would like to make a product that costs me a penny and sell it for 2 or 3 pennies, and I want to make a gazillion.
Right.
That's, I mean, if I could do that, that's what I would do, and that's what my purpose. Don't get me wrong, I still want to do real estate, I still want to help people, but my ultimate goal is to come up with something simple that everybody needs.
Right, just go really far, wide base.
Wide base with it, from here to infinity with it. You know, and seriously, that's because when you're the middle,
Some gold plated penny. That's not 3 pennies.
I mean, exactly. And so when I tell people that, I know it sounds silly, but all we're doing is when you're doing Airbnb or you're taking something and you're trying to mark it up for, and you're trying to meet an individual target that you hope. Because we talked about, do we go high, do we go low, do we go middle?
Right.
I want to be something simple where it goes to everybody.
Right, I like that.
Yeah, everybody needs it.
Right.
And so therefore it doesn't really, you don't have to, it doesn't
It's like
have
water.
to, yeah, it's like water.
Yeah.
It's like water. And so when and what really resonated to me during this pandemic is because everybody would call me, because I know everybody, and they're like, Mac, I need a mask, I need a glove. And they're selling millions and billions of these.
Right, and everybody needs them right now.
And everybody needs them. And,
Right.
and all I had to do was make 1 penny to make $20 million.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
based on the quantities, and that was just off one order.
Right.
That's not even including how many people use it every day.
Recurring, right.
So it's just something for you guys to think about. Don't get me wrong. What we do it was great, but it doesn't have to be grand or grandiose,
Right.
to make you financially stable for the rest of your life.
That's good. I heard of, I think it was a podcast I was listening to. I'm not sure the exact numbers, but it's something to the extent where Warren Buffett, he invested or bought like Coca-Cola or something like that. and he bought it. And then the next thing he did was like he raised the prices of all the Coke bottles like a couple cents, and just made like almost overnight like billions of dollars. Billions of dollars, just raising it a couple cents.
Billions of dollars. So it's just something for. We don't have to make it complicated. We can make it simple.
Right.
And we can be just as effective being simple. Like we talked about before, I can't be this marketer. I have to be me. And so we have to make sure that we're comfortable with where we are, but understanding where we want to go. Surrounding ourselves around those people that help elevate us to get us to that point without changing your. Now, don't get me wrong. If there's things that can help you change you fundamentally, that would actually help you improve without changing your being and your structure, then yeah, I think you should do it because we all want to improve. We all want to be better.
Right.
But you got to be yourself first and foremost.
Yeah. And so I feel like being authentic and being that most genuine version of yourself is the only way you can operate boldly and operate, because at the end of the day, it's your subconscious natural behavior. So it comes naturally versus you always having to think like it's extra energy that you're spending where you're like, shit, what do I do? Who am I? And it's just a waste of energy versus just being instinctual.
Like I said, we talked about martial arts. If something's coming at me, it's instinctual to move. If I have to think about what I'm going to do, it's too late.
Right.
I'm already hit.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You got to do what flows and what feels comfortable, and that's you in your own space, you in your own skin.
Right.
And so when you ask me, like I said, I want to continuously improve my life, but I want to be flexible and adaptable for what the future brings for me.
Right. So another thing, I got two more kind of questions. Number one is this one is big because I can think back to a few moments in my life where like I've heard one nugget or like one phrase or just kind of one thing that gave me a complete paradigm shift that's allowed me to like exponentially grow my business. So I want to know like what kind of a moment in your life did you have like just a complete paradigm shift? What was the realization? What was the breakthrough? When was it like a aha moment that allowed you to grow and see massive growth in all areas of like maybe not just business but like just something that just drastically kind of changed your perception of life?
I think one of the things that when we talk about when I was a model and I had a manager. He actually managed Tyrese and Janet and all the rest of it. And later on in life he did, but at that point in time, but I wanted everything now. I wanted everything now, and so I lacked the patience to realize that I don't drink wine, but everything that becomes vintage takes time to really, and so I didn't take the time to really allow myself to mature so I could take the right steps.
Right.
I wanted to rush everything. I wanted everything today, and so when I decided to leave, what I would say my modeling world and come back was, what I need to invest more time and effort and energy in myself and gain some type of patience and really start to give me a roadmap. And so once I actually sat back and I wasn't rushing anything, allowed me to develop that roadmap for myself. And I realized that people they were giving me nuggets. They were giving me nuggets to slow down, to understand what was in front of me so I didn't rush and make mistakes.
Right.
And so at that point in time, them investing the time and then me allowing myself to understand that and develop a roadmap is really kind of what did it. There was no like one key thing that says, you know what, Matt, you can elevate yourself to another level. It was is the combination of several people saying, Matt, slow down. You have so many good things, but you're looking at other people and what they're doing. And when I say that, there were other people there was Shamar Moore and Justin Chambers. These are guys that are on TV now.
Right.
I was modeling with every day when you talk about why are these people successful and I'm not successful. I wasn't doing the things that actually allowed me to be successful. I wasn't opening my mind. I was just worrying about what other people were doing,
right,
and not enough about what I was doing. And so that allowed me to develop a roadmap. What's going to be the best thing for me?
Right, I love that. That's huge. Right, a lot of people, especially with the social media age nowadays, are just looking at what everybody else is doing. And, they can't keep their head straight on to where they're going. They can't laser focus in. And so that's key. That's major.
And once I did that, things start to say, okay, you know what? Start putting things in place. And then that's when I got back to corporate America and I had my real estate. It was like, okay, I could balance both of these. I could put a process together for both of these and be successful and basically have 2 full-time jobs because it's 2 full-time jobs.
Yeah, it makes sense. And so number 2, last thing is for anybody who's listening to this right now, maybe wants to get started in entrepreneurship, get started in real estate. or just maybe struggling right now. They're going through some shit and they're just trying to persevere, and they're not sure. Is this the right thing for me? Should I go back to corporate, or should I continue to pursue the entrepreneurship? What kind of like 3 just nuggets can you give them to just help them dial in, laser in, and start to see more of the results that they want and feel more in the process of doing it, more in the flow of doing it as well, instead of it being like a constant uphill battle? Just kind of 3 nuggets you can give them.
So what I would say is if you can do this to try to follow your passion, I think your passion, when things become effortlessly done, when you do things effortlessly, I believe it allows you to feel like you're in your space or in your zone. And sometimes you may not know what that is. So follow your passion. And then for those people that have passion but they don't know how to get there, reach out to somebody who can help you. This is where you may have to trade your time for their time by doing things if you don't have the money to be able to do it.
Right.
I mean, you have to be able, but get educated. So follow your passion, get educated, and then don't give up. Don't give up because you hear no.
Right.
I've heard no so many times in my life that it's not in my vocabulary for the most part. It's no. It's like, well, let's figure a different way around, but no, it's usually not. My kids come up to me, I don't necessarily say no. I'm like, well, what are you willing to trade to get this?
I like that.
So I don't try to tell them, no, don't get me wrong. Other people may say no to you, so you have to understand that no could mean 1,000 different things.
Right.
But it don't have to mean no to you. You have to keep on pushing through and find a different way. Because if I say no, my kids will go to their mom.
Right.
So they understand that no does not mean no. That means no means I need to find a different way.
Right.
That's what I encourage people to do, is find a way to get what you want without hurting anybody and accomplish your goals and your dreams.
Right. Cool. Sounds like it reminds me of my little brother and little sister. I remember the younger, they'd ask my mom something. She's like, no. They go, Dad, can we? Dad, like, yes. My mom's like, what the hell? That's funny. Cool, man. I think that's pretty much it. So for everybody else on here, and for those guys who are watching this live right now, let me see real quick. Is the hedge fund a REIT? Was that real estate investing?
It's a REIT. It's going to be set up similar to a REIT, but it's going to be a private placement memorandum.
For more, I don't know much about real estate, so we need some more context for those e-commerce online affiliate marketers on here who are like, "What the hell are you talking about?"
So, but it's very similar to that. It's different, but it's the same. But if you want more information, reach out to Josh, or you can hit me up on how we can do it as affiliate.
Right.
We'll get you through all the information that you need.
That question, we just asked that actually is my dad. It looks like he's tuning in live.
Okay.
So he invests into real estate, commercial real estate. I'm gonna be investing into real estate with him. So let's make some big moves, Dad. Let's start investing. Let's get it. Cool. So where can people find you?
So you can find me at Mac Major REI on Facebook, or at Mac Major _REI on Instagram.
Cool. And we're gonna see if we can get him the username just at Mac Major. We're gonna see if we can spoof it. So if anybody's listening to this right now, you guys got the Instagram plugs. We can't make it happen. Make sure to DM him. We're trying to get him at just Mac Major.
That's right.
Cool. All right, man. Well, appreciate you guys tuning in to the live feed. I appreciate you sharing your story. We vibed out. We're gonna do another podcast right now. It's gonna be a bit more of a mastermind. So if you guys are listening to this right now on iTunes or Spotify or SoundCloud or wherever the hell you're listening to this, we're gonna be bringing in Lewis, JP, the Airbnb masters, Airbnb professionals. So I actually met Lewis at a pop-up event I did in New York. I did like a free pop-up event a couple of years ago. He followed me on social media. So I'm gonna be in New York, pulled up, and we'll get a bit more into it when we go into this next one. And but reached out to me a couple months ago. Actually, he came on. I think we were talking earlier. We do these live calls every morning. And a little background on that is my sleep schedule screwed up. We built multiple software companies. You see right here is Flyer Funnels, like websites and sales funnels. And so we were working with developers on Indian time zones. So like right now, what time is it right now? It's 4 o'clock. It'd be like 4 a.m. over there. And so we were working, like 9 p.m. to like 4 a.m. our time, so we could be on their time schedule. And it depleted just my circadian rhythm. It's screwed up. I couldn't wake up. And throughout the day, I was to the point where I almost thought I would never be able to be up in the daytime again because it screwed with my head that much. And I was like, yo, I gotta make an obligation, people. Gotta, make it bigger than me. I can't just be selfish and, think I'm gonna get up just because of my desire. And that's what we did, me and Timmery now for 150 days plus Sundays. We do this morning call. And he came on to one of these morning calls and he's like, yo, bro, like, just wanted to tell you, in New York 3 years ago, I found the picture live. I was like, wait, is this you? He's like, it's me. And so he invited us out to a yacht party a couple of weeks ago, vibed out, and then he came out here and just, bam, the rest is history. It's funny how energy aligns. But so you guys who are listening right now, that's going to be this next mastermind little podcast we're going to do. Tune in. It probably will be, if you're watching this in live time, right when it drops. It'll be released about a day or two later. Come back, tune in, take notes. We're going to bring in these 2 Airbnb pros, as well as we're going to bring in Miss Timmery, the co-founder of Flyer Funnel and the other sales flight application softwares that we have. And we're just going to chat. We're going to chat social media. We're going to chat real estate. We're going to talk entrepreneurship as a whole, traits, collaboration, just anything and everything that's good. I personally love kind of putting in, adding in extra minds and extra brains to have the conversation. I feel like it flows really well when we do that. And so, guys, make sure you tune in. And if you like this podcast, guys, post a screenshot right now. Post a screenshot on your story. Tag at JetSetFly on Instagram. Tag at MacMajor_REI and say something that you like. We'll reply. We'll repost it on our stories. And just let us know. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to Mac. Feel free to reach out to me and drop a 5-star review if you like this on iTunes. If you don't like it, drop a 1-star review and never listen to this again. But I think if you're hearing this part right now, that you most likely like it. And so I encourage you guys to leave a review. Let us know in the review, your favorite part about this specific episode right here. And that's it, guys. We'll talk to you guys on the next podcast. Appreciate you guys and talk to you guys soon.
Nice.
Cool. That's solid. That's good. You guys who are watching live, what do you guys think? What do you guys think? My dad says, thanks, give me the info. So let's do some investing. Let's get it.
That's awesome. Awesome.
Woo! All right, guys, I'm gonna end this live feed right now. I'm gonna send you guys the link to the second one we do behind the scenes. So if you guys want to watch this one behind the scenes, we're gonna take a quick break, drink some water, maybe go on a walk or something, breathe, stretch, do some jumping jacks. You know what I'm saying? And so I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. Hey, and by the way, if you're not subscribed to the Dropout Degree on iTunes, go subscribe to the Dropout Degree on iTunes. Please leave a 5-star review. This is the first live podcast I think I've ever done, like actually live and behind the scenes. And so this is something I'm going to be doing a lot more for the Team Jet Set community, because we appreciate you guys being a part of the community. We appreciate you guys, being a part of just really what we're doing here. And so I love that you guys were here. I love that you guys were engaged. And I hope you guys got a lot of value. It would mean the world to me if you guys can just go to iTunes real quick, take 5 seconds and just leave a review. Let me know your favorite part. And then send me a screenshot when you're done. And that way we'll chat and I'll say thank you and repost it. And we can, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. And we're going to get this thing started. You ready to get this thing started? Come say hi real quick, guys. Come say hi real quick. Let them know a little bit about y'all. What we're going to talk about.
Oh, cool. Hello, everyone. I don't know who's on here. Drop a comment if you're on here so I see who's actually watching. I see people are watching, but I'd like to know who. Sure. We're going to do the same thing for the next podcast?
Yeah, we'll send you guys a link.
You guys just come over and say hello?
Yeah.
Hey, what's up, guys? How's it going? Lil Cesaro here. Pleasure to meet you. Grateful to be here. Can't wait for the next one. Hi. Hey, this is JP now Morgan, and I'm excited for the next one, just to hear what other people have to say, because it's one thing to have thoughts and ideas in your mind, but it's another thing to put it out there and have other people hear it and get in their feedback. So looking forward to that. Yeah,
it's true. Like, you guys are talking and I forgot we're doing a podcast, and I wanted to sit there like, I'm gonna go bathroom real quick.
Cool. All right, guys. So I'm gonna send out the link to you guys. I'll send out another text message via community, and I'll post inside the app. I'll tell you guys what keyword to respond if you guys want that. And that's that. Cool, guys. Talk to you guys soon. Thank you guys for tuning in. Hope you guys enjoyed.